Good afternoon, Internet. SP here for the Marduk Report, and today we're taking a look at TeamWolf's Zhuque keyboard. It's a mechanical 10 keyless keyboard from China with a little extra. It's got removable switches, and that was me just actually clicking one. But let's not even worry about me talking, let's just get right into it. Included with the Zhuque keyboard are a very minimalist set of accessories. So starting off, we have the manual, which is printed in only two languages, Simplified Chinese and English. So if you don't understand one of those two languages, you might be a little bit out of luck. The manual, even though it is quite short, does list exactly how to do pretty much everything with this keyboard. How to pull off the keycaps, how to pull out the switches, how to control the lights, pretty much everything you can think of that is not self-explanatory with a keyboard. So also included are 4 cherry-like switches, one of each color, one red, black, blue, and brown. You get one spare because obviously your keyboard is going to be in one of these 4 colors. The keyboard that I have is cherry-like blues. So you notice that I say cherry-like a lot instead of just saying straight cherry. And that's really because these switches aren't actually manufactured by Cherry, at least as far as I'm aware. So on the right we have the keycap puller in green. The silver thing is the actual switch puller. And if you notice that the casing for this keyboard is all solid aluminum, it comes in 2 colors, gold and silver. I opted for the gold because it just feels more baller. So this is a 10 keyless design, so there is no number pad off to the very far right. So out of all of the keyboards I've ever owned, tested, worked with, had to use on more than just on the display at the store, this is my first 10 keyless keyboard. Every other keyboard I've ever had has been at least 104 keys, if not 108 keys. And this is, it's a very interesting departure if you've never actually used a keyboard this small. I wish somebody had told me about 10 keyless keyboards earlier in my lifetime, even though I've seen them around and I've seen them on forums and on the internet in general. Having to actually use one is kind of like having a laptop keyboard, but with actual full-size keys, not the chiclet Apple Lenovo keyboards, even though Lenovo keyboards are supposed to be amazing in the IBM ThinkPads. And on the bottom, the casing is very, very minimalist, just 2 feet that fold down and 2 rubber pads at the front to keep the keyboard in place. And like I said, it is 10 keyless, so that also means it is very, very light. So these pads are actually going to come in handy when trying to game or trying to do heavy typing, from keeping the keyboard from sliding around underneath your hands. So the USB cable that comes with it is roughly about 2 meters or about 6 feet long. The housing for the actual connector part is rather ostentatious, I think. While it does look very gamery, and it's probably, outside of the lighting, the only gamery thing on this keyboard, it does actually help you with recognizing which USB plug you're grabbing if you can't see the plugs from behind your system. So pulling off the keycaps, unless you're grabbing one of the keys from actually the center of the keyboard, you can probably just pull them off with your hands. And then using the metal horseshoe, there are 2 tabs that hold each of the actual switches in place. And once you get the horseshoe locked onto them, it's just simple, just pull up. And then your switches are out, and you put in another color switch or just replace that switch. Thing to note here is that the LEDs are not a part of the actual switch themselves, but they're built into the PCB right underneath each switch. And speaking of lighting, the lighting options on this keyboard they're like a rave. So I know that the lights are flashing here, but that's just because of the refresh rate of my camera. This right now, they are on actually a solid color. So that's it for TeamWolf's Suzaku keyboard. My final thoughts? It's amazing. Like I said earlier, this is my first 10 keyless keyboard, and I find the form factor amazing. The really small compactness makes it really easy to carry, but it still gives you the full functionality of a regular keyboard, and I would use this over any laptop keyboard I ever have used and ever will use. So I would give this a rating of purchase. Just go out and get one right now. And speaking of purchase, I picked this up off of a site called Taobao, which is basically China's Amazon. It's kind of like Alibaba, but not so heavy on the supplier. This is more like Amazon, but in Chinese. So I'm going to be making a video later on about how to actually purchase things off of Taobao if you don't speak Chinese like me. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.